Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a little look at coordinates. So we've got some basic examples to start off with, just how we work out coordinates and how we plot them. And then we've got coordinates looking at how we can make shapes. We'll look at midpoints, and then we'll look at an exam question that comes up, or has come up I should say. Okay, so let's get going then. So hopefully you're already familiar with this. So when we plot coordinates, we usually say along the corridor and up the stairs. So when we say along the corridor, we just mean the x-axis. So this bottom one down here, this is the x-axis. So we go along the corridor, and then up the stairs is the y-axis going up here. So that's just a very quick, easy way of remembering the order that you need to do that in. So let's have a go then at the first one. So we've got a nice positive axis here, all the numbers are positive. And I need to know what the coordinate of A is. So just like we set up here, I go along the corridor, so I'm at 2, and I go up the stairs, and then that's at 6. So the coordinate of A is quite simply 2, 6. So I go along the corridor to 2, and then I go up 6. B is over here, so again, I go along the corridor to 7. So I'll put that in first. The x coordinate is 7, and then I go up 4. C is here, so I go along 1 and up 3. And D is this one here. Now I actually don't go anywhere. I don't go anywhere along the corridor. I stay where I am, in which case that is 0. But I do go up 5, so we say that's got the coordinate 0, 5. So if you don't move along the corridor, that's absolutely fine. We just say 0. But of course, in that case, we go up 5. Similar thing here with point E. I go along 3, but I don't go up or down. So 3, 0 means I go along 3, and I don't go anywhere up the stairs. I stay exactly where I am. So that point there is E. F, go along 5, and then up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And that was F. G, I go along 8, so along to 8 and up 1. So that's going to be G. And then H, special point here, 0, 0, so I actually don't go anywhere. I don't go along the corridor, I don't go up the stairs, and that is also called the origin. So if you say, put the point or coordinate 0, 0, that's also called the origin. So they might actually say from the origin, and that's all that means is that the point 0, 0. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So this one's a little bit different. This has positive and negative values on the y-axis and on the x-axis, but the concept is still the same. So point A is here, so I'm going to go along the corridor to 2, and I'm going to go up the stairs to 2. So that's just like we've just been doing over here. Okay. The point B, this time I go along the corridor, but I go along to -3, and then I go up 1. Okay, so the only difference there is that it's a negative number, but I still go along to -3, and I go up 1. C is up here, exactly the same thing. I go along the corridor to -1, and I go up to 4. So -1, 4. D, along the corridor this time to 1, and then down -1. Oops. So it's 1, and then I'm going to write that again because it looks like a -1. Okay, so I go along 1, and then down to -1. Okay, so it says up the stairs, but when it's a negative, you can, in other words, go down the stairs if you like. Think of it that way. E is here, so I go along to -2, and then I go down to -3. So it's just a double negative along the corridor, but this time down the stairs. And the final one is F, which I'm assuming is this one here, which I haven't actually labelled F. And so again, I don't go anywhere along the corridor, so that just stays as 0, but I just go down to -4, which is there. And when we're plotting them, no different. Along to -1, it's this bit here, the y coordinate is 0, so I don't go up or down, so I literally just go to -1, and then I stay where I am. No up or down the stairs there. This one here, -3, so I go along to -3 and then down -2. or I should label them, shouldn't I? So that was G, and this one is H. And then I minus 2, and then to 3. And it's that simple. Along the corridor, up the stairs. Okay, so let's step it up a notch. Ooh, there goes my lid. And have a look at the next type of questions. So, here we have some points that were already given, and we're asked to make some shapes. I've got 4 examples here to have a look at. So the first one says, find the point that makes a rectangle. So what I recommend you do is just do a very quick sketch of what that shape will look like. So a rectangle just looks like that, and that's what I want to achieve over here. And you're given some points, so what I would also do is I would join those up to see what you've got. Like so. Now if I'm trying to make this look like a rectangle, I'm going to need to go exactly the same across here. So I go across 4, so it matches the top there, and of course I need to go up 3, so it's that coordinate there which is going to make that into a rectangle. And I go along the corridor to 5, and I go up 1, and it's as simple as that. So that's the coordinate I need there, 5, 1. This one here says find the point that makes an isosceles triangle. So remember, little sketch, isosceles triangle looks something like this, where these 2 sides are the same length. So what you might be doing is when you join these up together, is thinking, okay, it needs to be somewhere like here. Now that's not a bad guess, but if we measure it, going straight down gives me 3 centimetres, but going straight down here brings me there. So this actually goes diagonally, and if you use a ruler, you'll see that it's ever so slightly just below 3. So that doesn't quite work. You need to be using the same patterns. So this one goes straight down 3, this one goes straight down 3, so they actually don't meet at the same point. So that, although it looks right, won't actually work. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to imagine that this one here is the top point here, and I'm going to come down 3 and go across 2. That's the pattern. Cross 3, up 2. So I'm going to go across 3, and this time down 2 to that point there. And then, when I draw those up, I have my isosceles triangle. It's just on the side. So those 2 I know are exactly the same length because they have the same pattern. Down 3 across 2, down 3 across 2. They must be the same length, that is. In which case, what's that point there? Well, again, I go along to 4, and I go up 1. This one here, find the point that makes a parallelogram. So again, little sketch of a parallelogram. Parallelogram looks something like this, where we have 2 sets of parallel sides, like so. Okay, so again, I'm going to join up the points that I've been given to see what it looks like. There we go. So it's roughly looking like it's going to go like that to make my parallelogram. So exactly the same thing. Well, you can keep it like that, I suppose, if you want. Or you can keep it back as it ordinarily is, it's entirely up to you. But just like over here, we're trying to find patterns. So to go from this point to this point, I go across 2, up 1. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing here. Across 2, up 1 to there. And then I'm going to join them up and see what it looks like. Again, use pencil, just in case you do make a mistake, you can rub it out. Does that look like a parallelogram? Yeah, we're bang on the money there, aren't we? So there's my 2 parallel sides, and there's my other set of parallel sides. So yep, it's all about the patterns. What's the coordinate of that point there? Well, I go across to 3, so along the corridor to 3, and then I go up to 5. Yep, so the coordinate there is 3, 5, that makes a parallelogram. And last one here, find the point that makes a rectangle. So it's the same idea as this one. I'm still trying to make a rectangle, so still something looks like that. However, when I join these up, we notice it's not as simple as the first one. Okay, so if I was to just move that around, so there's my vertical bit, there's my side bit, so it's going to be something like this. We can visualize what it's going to look like. But where exactly is that point? Well, again, just like we did before on these 2 here, we're going to look at the pattern. So from the top corner here To go to that corner there, I go down 3 and across 1. So from this point to this point, I need to do the same pattern. Down 3 across 1 to there. And then when we join them up, it should be a rectangle. Yeah, there we go. Lovely. So what is the coordinate of that? Well, I go across to 8 and I go up 2. There we go. So that's how you can make some shapes. Just think about the patterns that go between the coordinates and obviously visually have a look. I do recommend doing a little sketch so you know what it should look like at the end, and then obviously then double check and use pencil in case you make a mistake, and then you can obviously rub it out. Right, let's have a look at some slightly tricky ones. Stepping it up again. Okay, so here we have a shape. There's no scale on here at all. We've just got a set of axes. So obviously I have my x-axis and my y-axis, and I've got 3 points on my rectangle, and I've got a missing one here. The first question, work out the midpoint of AD. So there is AD, and I need to work out the midpoint. So basically that's just the middle. So what I recommend you do is you do this. You go over and you find the coordinates that are on the y-axis. So the first coordinate is my x, that's along the corridor, and then the next one is the y-coordinate, which is up the stairs. So the y-coordinate here is 5, which means that is 5. The x-coordinate here is 4, so that's fine. And then the y-coordinate is 9. Okay? So the midpoint is going to be somewhere in the middle, so it's going to be something like that. Let's call it M for the midpoint. In the question, it might tell you to call it something else, but M makes sense. So what's the x-coordinate going to be? Well, the x-coordinate here is 4. The x-coordinate here is 4 because it's just a line going down here. So on the midpoint there, we're safe to say that the x-coordinate is definitely going to be 4. However, the y-coordinate's different. It needs to be in the middle of 5 and 9. So the best thing to do is go, okay, take the big one, which is 9, and we take away 5, and that equals 4. So the difference between the two is 4. Now, if you want the middle, that needs to be halved. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So what that means is I need to add 2 to 5 and take away 2 to 9, and that's going to tell me the midpoint. So 9 take away 2 is 7, or 5 plus 2 is 7, so that's the midpoint. Alternatively, you could go, right, I've got 5 and 9, I'm going to go in 1, that's 6 and 8, go in 1 again, it'll be 7 and 7. So that's the alternative way to do it. Basically like finding the median on a number of averages. You keep going in until you find the middle. Either way, the y-coordinate there is 7. The next part, part B, is much more interesting. Work out the coordinates of point C here. Now, it's not entirely different to what we've just done over here. Okay, so I need to work out what the coordinates are. So I need to have a look at the x-coordinate, and I need to have a look at the y-coordinate. So if I look at this one here, this coordinate B tells me that the x-coordinate is 13. So if I come all the way down here, just dot it if you like, that tells me that the x-coordinate is going to be 13, which means for point C, it's also going to be 13. When I look at the y-coordinate, I've already done this bit, I go across here. The y-coordinate here is 5, which means my y-coordinate for here will also be 5. So what are the coordinates? It's going to be 13, 5. So we use those other points to help us identify the x-coordinate on the x-axis and the y-coordinate 5. This one here is slightly trickier because it's a diagonal, but again I'm trying to find out the midpoint of the line between A and B. So if I look at the x-coordinate here, come down, the x-coordinate there is 4, and the x-coordinate here is 14. So remember, the first number is where it goes along the corridor. So I have 4 and 14. And again, I need to find out the middle value. Okay, what is the middle value? We know it's going to be somewhere around there. Again, let's call it M for midpoint. But what is it? So just like I did over here, I'm going to take the big value, which is 14, and I'm going to take away the small value, which is 4, to find the difference between the two. And the difference between the two is 10. Now, if I want the middle of that, I half it, which is 5. So I can either add 5 to the 4, or I can take away 5 to the 14, and it will tell me my midpoint. So 4 plus 5 is 9, or 14 minus 5 is also 9. So there we go, my x-coordinate for my midpoint there is going to be 9. Do the same trick, I say trick loosely because it's just maths. Go across, just dabble these lines so you can see, and the y-coordinate here is 5, the y-coordinate here is 11, and I'm going to do the same thing. Big one, take away the small one, so 11 take away 5 is 6. I need to find out the midpoint of between the two, so I need to half it, which gives me 3. So I need to add 3 to that, and then take away 3, make sure they get the same. So 5 add 3, so up here add 3, it gives me 8, and 11 minus 3 is 8. So yep, it checks out, that is the midpoint. So the y-coordinate is 8. So again, you can just make your answer really clear and say 9, 8. So that's how you can work out the midpoints when you have either a shape like that, just look at the y-coordinates and the x-coordinates, or when you have a line, same thing, compare the x and compare the y. Right, and the last one we're going to have a look at in our coordinate video is something like this. Now I believe there was something like this that come up in an exam question, where we have a nice straight line. We're told that A is the coordinate 16, 3, B is the coordinate 13, 5, and we need to work out the coordinate C. We're told the y value is, or y coordinate is 11, but we don't know what the x coordinate is. But we know that all 3 points are on our line. And this always trips people up. But the actual solution is quite nice and simple. All I'm going to do is compare what goes on with my coordinates. So again, here I have my x coordinate, and here I have my y, and here I have my x, and here I have my y. So what happens to the x coordinate? Well, we're going backwards, so it goes from 16 to 13. So essentially I've taken away 3. And when I take away 3, what happens to the y coordinate? Well, it goes from 3 to 5, it's increasing. So from 3 to 5 is plus 2. And all I'm going to do is just repeat that pattern. So this is just a sketch, doesn't have to be exact, it's just to give you a rough idea. So if I take away 3 from the x coordinate again, this point here we'll take away 3, so that'll be 10. And the y coordinate I add 2, so add 2. So 5 add 2 would give me 7. And I'm going to do it again. Again, this is just a sketch, doesn't have to be anything posh, it's just to keep going. Take away 3 from the x-axis again. So 10 take away 3 gives me the x-coordinate of 7. And the y-coordinate is add 2. So the y-coordinate add 2 gives me 9. Okay, so 16, 13, 10, 7, and you're probably already ahead of me. The next one is going to be the one that we're after, because if I take away 3 from the x, 7 take away 3 will give me 4, and if I add 2 to the y, so 9 add 2 is my 11. So that coordinate there is what I want, and when I do this pattern, we're told that the x coordinate therefore is 4. So x equals 4, and the point C has the coordinate 4, 11. So it's just basically about finding the pattern. What am I doing here? I take away 3, add 2, and I just keep going until it matches. So obviously my y coordinate here, adding 2, 3, add 2 is 5, add 2 is 7, add 2 is 9, add 2 is 11. So then take away 3 each time. So 16, 13, 10, 7, and eventually that's 4. So it's just, again, finding those patterns to help you with your coordinates. So hopefully that explains quite a few different things, guys. Best of luck when you do some questions in the worksheets. Hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching.